Ferrari's grandstands at Imola glow like a furnace. And on Sunday the 18th of May, 2025, Lewis Hamilton walked straight into the heat. 12 cars in front of him, 73 laps ahead, and a crowd certain the newest Cavaliere had lost his magic touch. By sunset, he was fourth, barely 1 4/10 of a second from the podium. And his team principal, Frédéric Vasseur, had exploded at critics, declaring the adaptation narrative finished. What really happened that day? How did a driver the headlines called out of rhythm turn doubt into genuine fear for the rest of the paddock? Buckle in. This story begins with a charge no one saw coming and ends with a warning every rival should take seriously. The red start lights vanished, and Hamilton's SF25 clawed forward as if offended by its position. Hard tyres, heavy fuel, and zero margin for hesitation. By lap 5, he had slipped past Logan Sargent, weaving through Tamburello's kink with millimetric precision. 8 tours later, Pierre Gasly fell, then Alexander Albon, after a ruthless switchback into Villeneuve. Lap 24 delivered the first gasp. Hamilton outbraked teammate Charles Leclerc at Variante Alta, proving tyre life could beat track position. Imola is notorious for delivering processions, yet Hamilton diced through midfield traffic at a pace only 2/10 slower than race leader Max Verstappen. A late virtual safety car gifted fresher mediums, and the final stint looked vintage. Each lap a metronome, each apex carved, the gap to Oscar Piastri closing from 7 full seconds to barely more than 1. When the checkered flag dropped, 4th place felt less like salvation and more like a declaration. Reporters swarmed the Ferrari hospitality unit, hungry for a headline. They murmured that Hamilton found magic only on Sundays and was still lost in red. Frédéric Vasseur slammed his fist on the table, figuratively, though a nearby espresso cup rattled. "Every driver learns," he growled, "step by step. There is no spell." The Frenchman's patience had evaporated after weeks of insinuations that a 7-time champion suddenly needed driving lessons. Vasseur revealed internal metrics. Hamilton's simulator feedback cut 0.3 per lap from Ferrari's corner entry losses between the Chinese sprint and Imola. He reminded everyone that Britain had delivered Ferrari's sole 2 trophy finishes of the season. His parting shot? "Stop treating progress like luck. The data shows intent." In a sport built on perception, Vasseur's candour stung. Yet it also broadcast unwavering trust in the man wearing car number 44. Qualifying at Imola unfolded beneath hazy afternoon light and an air temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. The SF25's Achilles heel is rapid tyre warm-up. Its front axle refuses peak grip for the first 2 corners, and on a sprint such as Imola's, it is fatal. Both Ferraris bowed out in Q2. Italian tabloids screamed "Disastro Rosso," and social media memes surfaced within minutes. Hamilton called the session a punch to the gut, explaining that weight distribution locks the car into understeer through acque minerali until brake temperatures crest 200 degrees Celsius. Valuable milliseconds lost. Engineers quantify the 1-lap deficit at roughly 0.3, compared with Red Bull and 0.2 to McLaren, nearly all in slow-speed rotation. On Saturdays, that chasm feels vast. On Sundays, tyre management shrinks it. Hamilton summed it up best. "Give me starting position and the rest follows." 4 weeks earlier, under Shanghai's humid twilight, Hamilton clinched Ferrari's first sprint victory of the year. 12 laps, soft cars around him, and a textbook launch that stunned the front row. The win proved 2 crucial points. First, Hamilton's race start reflexes remain the gold standard, reaction times consistently under 215 milliseconds. Second, once tyres reach operating window, Ferrari's long-run balance achieves harmony unexpected for a machine still on its development trajectory. Hamilton stepped off that sprint podium, with a grin unseen since his Mercedes peak, calling the car finally in sync. Observers wrote it off as track-specific fortune, but Imola echoed the feeling on a full Grand Prix distance. Coincidence snapped into pattern. Hamilton joined McLaren in 2007 and told them to rethink simulator correlation. He arrived at Mercedes in 2013 and demanded aggressive rear suspension freedom. Each time, the cultural jolt paid championships in return. At Ferrari, he landed with an encyclopedia of setup philosophies: asymmetric brake migration, cockpit-driven differential sweeps, and trigger points for hybrid deployment, shaped by personal feel rather than lap time models. Some long-served engineers, proud guardians of Maranello's heritage, hesitated. Hamilton acknowledged internal reluctance, a diplomatic phrase hinting at outright debate. Still, glimpses of compromise are emerging. New front-wing flaps trialled in the Emilia-Romagna free practice were his concept, widening the operating window by 10 degrees of steering lock. The clash is not driver versus car, it is tradition versus evolution. Pass the lap traces, and Hamilton's imprint is obvious. At Variante Alta exit, he carried precisely 2 km per hour more speed than Leclerc, with identical rear ride height. Into Rivazza 1, he braked 3 metres later than anyone else in the top 10, without overshooting apex minimum speed. On lap 56, as hard compound rivals faded, Hamilton's medium tyres still produced 1 minute 18.9, within 2/10 of Verstappen's race best, despite 5 kilograms more fuel. Ferrari strategists calculated the mid-race virtual safety car cost him just over 5 seconds. Remove that random element, and third place was secure, second within reach. Numbers rarely care about narratives, and these numbers suggest Ferrari's fourth-place trophy underestimates the threat now forming. After Imola's debrief, Vasseur spoke calmly of incremental gains. Yet behind closed doors, the plan is aggressive. 5 weeks from now, Spielberg's Red Bull Ring will host Ferrari's first weight reduction package. A revised gearbox housing shaving 2 kilograms, plus floor edge strakes, channeling vortices more cleanly around the rear tyre shoulder. Hamilton pushed for both. CFD runs predict 0.3 per lap on low-drag circuits. Special qualifying mode is expected to yield quicker tyre surface heating through sharper front suspension response. Translation: the very weakness crippling Saturdays could fade by mid-season. Vasseur's mantra remains step by step, but Italy's engineering grapevine speaks of a leap designed explicitly to serve Hamilton's driving style. The clock is ticking for Red Bull, McLaren and Mercedes to bank points while they still can. Champions do not converse in hypotheticals, they speak in declarations. When asked whether Ferrari can win this season, Hamilton replied, "We will be winning." Note the absence of conditional verbs. At 40 years old, he did not trade a silver car for a crimson one to enjoy a retirement lap. He came to etch his initials into Ferrari's century-long saga. He studies throttle traces into the night, sends voice notes to engineers at 3 o'clock in the morning Central European time, and still completes more kilometres in the simulator than any other Scuderia driver. Former rivals suspect ambition will wane. Insiders see stubborn fire intensifying. Under Tifosi scrutiny, he answers with relentless work, not sound bites. Imola was not a miracle. It was a preview. It gifted tangible proof that when Ferrari's one-lap puzzle is solved, Sundays might morph into crimson coronations. The starting point was 12th, the ending scarcely over 1 second shy of Champagne. In between, layover takes thought impossible on this layout. Data spikes unheard of 2 months ago, and a team boss willing to risk reputation by defending his driver publicly. The schedule turns to Monaco's walls, the high-speed dance of Spain, Silverstone's patriotic roar, and Monza's cathedral of speed. Each venue awaits the moment Ferrari unlocks Hamilton's full list of setup demands. So next time, a Saturday headline screams, "Struggling?" Remember that 73-lap symphony where a 12th-place deficit shrank into genuine podium threat. Recall the Shanghai sprint, where a driver labelled past his prime ruled the front. Track the upgrade bulletins slipping out of Maranello. They all whisper the same inevitable conclusion. The most dangerous weapon in motorsport is not dominant machinery. It is a dominant champion with unfinished business behind the wheel of that machinery. If that prospect sends a chill, stay tuned. The red giant has stirred, and the next awakening could arrive before anyone finds the snooze button. Keep watching, because the story of Lewis Hamilton in Scarlet is only 6 rounds old and already feels like the opening chapters of a legend in the making.